Hi everyone, this is Lily. I'm a social worker with CPS, Child Protective Services, and I made this channel to talk about things from my perspective. I've been struggling to talk about this topic, and then I'm like, screw it, I'm just gonna do a short video, the 60-second ones. I did it, and I'm like, wait, I have more to say. I did a second one, scheduled it to upload later. Good. I went back to my therapy because, I do things like in my breaks. And then in the afternoon, my husband's like, oh, I watched part two. Where's part one? It never uploaded. And because I record directly into the app, it's not saved anywhere. YouTube. So I'm like, fine, I will do a full length video. And this would be my fourth try. So, social worker in Illinois, Deidre Silas, every single time I say it wrong, was murdered by a parent that she was out. She went to check on a family that was assigned to her, 6 kids between the ages of 1 and 7. Um, she goes to the home, stabbed to death. She was 36. She has two little kids, very close to my kids' ages. I think it was 5 and 2, 4 and 2, something like that. Um, she was kind of new to the job, but she was in no way inexperienced. Um, one article said she worked in behavioral health. Another one said she um, did juvenile justice. Um, but really, like, her, she was dedicated to the kids. Um, and she had been working for several months. Um, and one day she went out on a home visit and never came back home. So how I find out about this is there's like this trending thing on Facebook. Pretty sure on other platforms too. I'm just on Facebook. Um, with this, the picture of this notebook. And it read just like pen and paper is all our social workers are given to go out to these homes. That's the only protection we get. And it's very true. Another place I worked before in another county, I had pepper spray, but it was to help protect us from dogs because it was a more rural area and we were not allowed to use it on people. So, why was this? I mean, people die on the job in all professions. There's accidents, there's violence, there's all kinds of stuff. There's acts of nature or whatever. It happens. And I don't know if it happens more for social workers or not. Um, but we do get attacked, as a profession. I haven't personally been. Um, we get threats regularly. Um, I mean, I tend to connect with the people and also the program I work with. I'm not the one that takes the kids away initially, so it's a different dynamic. Like I work with parents more long term, so by the time they get to me, they know kind of how things work. Sometimes people that are not in the right mind are not in the right mind. Um, but what really really affected me was the statement from the director. So there was like an official agency statement saying, like our prayers are with the family, this tragedy, blah, blah, blah. Very nice and PR friendly. But the director, he's one of the higher ups, but that official statement was above him. The statement that he made is we trained our staff to be able to deal with all kinds of volatile situations. They have the ability to go out in pairs or have assistance from law enforcement. I'm furious about that because he's basically saying, or this is how I'm taking it. I'm taking it as her fault. Her fault. She should have known better. Somebody, my therapy made the correlation of like she shouldn't have been out in daylight if she didn't want to be attacked. But that's what it is. I mean, well, we train our staff, so if she didn't learn, that's not my problem. Oh, they could have gone out in pairs, but she didn't. That was her choice. She could have called law enforcement. I don't know why she didn't. That's all I'm getting. And maybe it's because I already feel like our job is not the greatest as recognizing us as people. But man, that hit me really hard. Um, some articles, or I think at least one, had like the second part of the statement. It's like I'm not trying to justify or not trying to blame or something like that. But and I'm like, really? Like you're gonna double down? And it's just so wrong. I mean, this poor lady. We don't know what happened. We're never gonna know what happened because it's confidential. We don't know who this person. I mean, he's been arrested. We don't know why they were out investigating. We don't know if this guy was suspected to be around, if it was known, if there was known that there was a criminal history. For all we know, this could have been labeled as, just a single mom with kids that is, it's, we go out for abuse and neglect. It could have been a general neglect situation that doesn't set off any alarms for violence. I don't know that the worker knew enough to be concerned to bring law enforcement and a partner with her. And it shouldn't be her responsibility. We have supervisors for a reason. We have management. We have the screeners in there. So we would get a safety alert on our paperwork to say like, hey, this one might not be this. And yes, at any point we have the option to go with somebody. But that's not the same as being assigned somebody to go with you. And here's the thing. Whether you're a new worker or not, you are very aware that everybody's busy. Everybody's overwhelmed in these times. There's not enough workers, there's not enough resources, there's a pandemic, there's all of this. Everybody has their own responsibilities. So if you're already struggling, you don't want to put extra on somebody else to tell them, hey, can you drop everything you're doing and come help me? Can you come help me do my job? Like just stand there so I feel safe. A lot of people are not, we're not very good at speaking up for ourselves and asking for what we need. And when it comes to safety, I feel like this should be a management priority to say, you know what, this doesn't sound good. Let's send this person with you because then it's not on me to, like it shouldn't be my responsibility to like go begging my coworkers to come help me. Um, because in reality, yes, we do ask for help. We do help each other. But I've been put in, not all the time, but I have been put on the spot several times of helping, and when you need it, nobody's there for you. Not always, but it happens, especially when we're all already overwhelmed, like we are now. So yeah, I feel like not only is this a tragedy, I feel like it was compounded. And what boggles my mind is that, as usual, I heard about it through Facebook, not through my job. Not well, I don't watch news, so, but I haven't seen it pop up in like regular news feed because I do check my Facebook news. Not that I listen too much into it, but just to see like what's going on, and then sometimes I will look it up somewhere else. So this is one of those. I saw it come up, and then I went and looked it up, read all kinds of different things that I could find. There is a GoFundMe that her family set up for her kids. Um, and I feel like this is, in the past, when we've had things like this happen, they we get like an email, a reminder that we have like the employee assistance program, or we have staff psychologists that help us process trauma sometimes when something really bad goes down. This is one of those times where like somebody that does exactly what you do, what got murdered for doing that. This is one of those times that maybe offered support to some people, but this time it hasn't happened at all. And I don't know if it's because it's farther away, because it's Illinois, it's crime everywhere. I don't know. I don't know if it just hasn't crossed people's radars. Um, but I feel like as a field, we should, be keeping track of these things and putting things in place to make sure it doesn't keep happening. This was the second time in 5 years that somebody was murdered and doing their job there, and made some changes. Like they made it so that a social worker could get assistance from law enforcement, even from different jurisdiction. Because what had happened in that older case, the worker had gone out to a house to remove the children with law enforcement help, and one of the kids wasn't there. So for her to go to the second house, to I think it was a grandparent's house, it was in a different law enforcement jurisdiction. So she would have had to wait, call dispatch, ask for help, wait until somebody was available, because it's not child welfare is not priority, and then just wait. So she made the decision to go without backup, so that she could get in and out quick and get that kid. By the time she made it there, the dad was already there waiting for her, and he he killed her. Um, and I know it's very easy to victim blame on that stance as well. What I don't do that program regularly. I'm not an emergency response worker, or I'm not assigned. I could be, I'm trained for it. Um, but even in my side, when it's already an established case, I've had to call law enforcement for backup to do that twice that I can remember. The first time, middle of the day, fine, waited maybe 20 minutes outside the family's home. They didn't know what was going on yet. The second time, Friday night, made the call before 5 p.m. because, I'm supposed to be off at 5. Um, we gave up waiting after 11 p.m. At that point, it was like, no, no. So I was on hold that whole time. I remember um, the family lived in an apartment complex, and I was like across the street at a McDonald's waiting for law enforcement to show up so I could go up to the house. Um, I waited at least 4 hours. Is that or 6 hours? Because we're not priority. We ended up um, having to roll it up to the weekend emergency people um, to do it on Saturday morning. But yeah, that's why we sometimes make the decisions to go without law enforcement. The other thing that kind of came up during this is we don't necessarily it wouldn't be, it's counterproductive to bring law enforcement with you on an initial investigation. it I mean, we can depending on, again, how that alert system, how much the situation raises or alert. But our initial investigation is just to ask, hey, what's going on? Is there anything we can help with? Now that sets off a lot of people, obviously, but to show up with two big cops behind you saying, hey, what's going on, how can I help you, it's not the same message. When you show up with two big cops, you're like, I'm here, with authority to do something. So I don't think it's routinely done. It's more routine when we know that we're going to be removing the kids. And again, depending on that level, if it's very clear from the paperwork that something dangerous is going down, then that's very likely that we're going to end up having to take the children that same night. We'll just we'll just try to have law enforcement there. But again, we don't know that that's the level of alert it was. For all we know, um, mom was leaving the kids home alone while she went to work that day, and nobody was injured. It was just you know, a neglect, risk. You wouldn't take law enforcement for that. So, those are my thoughts. A whole lot, many thoughts. Um, and my condolences to the family. Um, those children will have to grow up without their mom, and um, and the system is broken. That's my thoughts. Thank you. Bye.